Hello, America. It's Bianca, GOP girl and Clean TV Live. And funny enough, I said at the end of my last video, I said that I wish there had been some coverage on the murder of Justine Damon, the Australian woman that was in her pajamas that was senselessly murdered by a Muslim police officer. Just as I said that on TV, they were showing the mayor of Minneapolis, who is Betsy Hodges, and she's a Democrat. And she was explaining the resignation of Chief Harteau. Apparently, the mayor asked for the police chief's resignation. And, this is interesting because the police chief had mentioned in press conferences how the police officers should have had their cameras on. During the shooting of Justine Damon, neither one of the officers' body cams was on, and the squad car camera did not catch the shooting either. Justine Damon was shot in her pajamas. She was shot in her pajamas after she had called 911 and said that she did not know if the screaming she was hearing were the screams of a woman in the middle of something, or if she was being sexually assaulted. However, that's why she dialed 911. Now, these officers knew a woman had dialed 911. And yet, the Mohammed Noor, who much of the press has tried to hide, he shot Justine Damon multiple times. Shot her 3 times, as a matter of fact. And guess what? He is unavailable to answer any questions by investigators. Apparently, legally, he is able to do so. How is this possible? First of all, Betsy Hodges is a Democrat. Somebody on Twitter said she is responsible for Sharia law in Minneapolis. Did you know that, folks? Yes, I have heard of Sharia law taking place in parts of the Midwest. However, someone on Twitter said, quote unquote, that Betsy Hodges was responsible or is responsible for Sharia law in Minnesota. Is Betsy Hodges trying to hide an officer perhaps carrying out a killing in the name of Allah? I find it interesting that Betsy Hodges, she can ask for the resignation of the police chief, who I believe has been the police chief for some 20 years, and yet she won't ask for the resignation or fire the police officer named Mohammed Noor, a Somalian American who was born in Somalia, people. She won't ask for his resignation. He hasn't been fired. I haven't been able to find anything. I could be wrong. However, as of today, I could not find anything. Of course, there isn't much written about it. We have a family. We have a family in Australia who has lost their daughter due to Mohammed Noor's shooting Justine Damon, a veterinarian, a yoga teacher, a 40-year-old young woman who had her whole life ahead of her, who merely dialed 911 for help. She called police officers for help, never knowing it would be her last night. Never knowing her call for help would be the death of her. The Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, he's demanding answers. Of Australia, he's demanding answers. He's described the killing as shocking and inexplicable. And the Daily Telegraph branded this killing an American nightmare. You know what? It is an American nightmare. I know of an Australian who has moved here Why? She's moved to America to get away from the influx of Muslims coming into Australia. She's moved to America for her safety. Maybe this woman did too. I know she moved here for a fiance. However, she probably thought she was safer here in America. Little did she know a police officer by the name of Mohammed Noor, a Somalian American, would shoot her 3 times. In one article I read, there is a cyclist that supposedly saw the officers attempt to, or saw someone trying to attempt to give her CPR. So perhaps it would be nice if there would be some insight on this killing. But you know what? Just now I saw protesters calling for the resignation of the mayor of Minneapolis because they were saying that she had failed in leadership. And you know what? That's correct. She has failed in leadership because those body cameras should have been turned on. It should be an order by the mayor. It should be an order by the mayor to the police chief that those body cameras be turned on so that if an officer does something that is not up to code, that is not right, and if an officer murders someone in cold blood, as I believe Mohammed Noor has, then they will be filmed. This was, it's shocking, it's inexplicable, as the Prime Minister of Australia stated. And I stand by my statement. Muslims should not be police officers in America. Muslims should not hold political office in America. They should not, because they believe in Sharia law. Until Muslims denounce the Quran and denounce the Quran's statements in which it says to kill all non-Muslims. We cannot have Muslims in any law enforcement position or in any position holding office. You can call me a racist, and it's not racist to say, again, it's not racist to say that I don't believe Muslims should hold public office or be police officers. I'm reading a comment. Yeah, the officer was spooked by a blonde woman in her pajamas. Yeah, right. Yeah, like I'm going to believe that. But I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. I just don't believe Muslims, and Islam is a religion that Muslims abide by. I do not believe Muslims should be in our country, period, because they don't believe as we do. And I think this is only the beginning, people. Linda Sarsour called for jihad against the president and his administration. I believe all Muslims in America, or the majority of Muslims in America, have called for jihad on all of us, Christians and Jews. I demand answers for Justine Damon. This is a story that should not be pushed under the rug. This is a story that should be on TV every single night. The murder of Seth Rich should be in the front page. It should be on the front pages. The murder of Justine Damon should be on the front of newspapers. We're nationwide. I've had it with the cover-ups. I want answers, and you should too. So please, if there's anyone out there that was around the murder, and yes, I'm calling it a murder because I believe it was. If there's anyone that was around the murder of Justine Damon and knows anything that went down, please call the FBI. Don't call the Minneapolis police, because I believe they'll just cover it up. Because is that what today was? Did Betsy Hodges asked for the resignation of Police Chief Harteau because maybe she knew too much? I find it rather odd. No, the officer should have been asked to resign. The officer should have been fired. and Muslims should not be police officers. This is Bianca, GOP girl with Clean TV Live. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Good night, everyone.